Hello and welcome to VBS 2020, Discovering God's Plan for You. My name is Dave Kurowicki, and I'm here for 10 Bible lessons, and we're going to find out all about God's plan, discovering His plan for you. Today, our first lesson will be about a young man named Joseph. Our second lesson will be about a guy you've heard of called Jesus. And we're going to pray, and we're going to get into those lessons. So pray with me real briefly here. Dear Father, thank you for each one listening. Help us. Lord, help me and help them. For Christ's sake, in His name I pray, amen. Well, for this week, we have a verse for the week, and I'll be talking about a different part of it all week. But let's say it kind of together, Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good, to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. Today I just want to talk about that first part, and we know that all things work together for good. Dear ones, I want to remind you that that doesn't mean everything's good. There are some things that aren't good, that are really hard, that you may not even understand in this life. But we'll find out someday if we belong to Jesus, when we stand before Him, we'll see what His purpose and His plan was. And we'll probably get to see what the alternative was, and that would be worse. Because you see, if you belong to Jesus, God's plan is about you. He doesn't necessarily want to make you happy, though He's okay with that. If you belong to Jesus, His plan is to make you into the image of Jesus. He wants to make you holy. God's plan is about you, and He's going to do the things it takes to make that happen, to work in His church. So, let's start with our lesson. Our lesson today is about a guy called Joseph. Joseph was one of the 12 sons of Jacob. So, where's that all come from? Let's back up a little bit. And in God's plan, there was a guy called Abram living in Ur of the Chaldees, and God called him out of there, said, go to a land that I'll show you. And he left, he obeyed, he did it. And God made him some promises, a land and a descendants, and that he'd be a blessing to everyone. And well, eventually in the process of time, the promised son that God promised him, Isaac, was born when he was 100 years old. Now Isaac grew up and married a young lady called Rebekah, and they had twins eventually. Jacob and Esau. Jacob, of course, was Joseph's father. Jacob and Esau, they didn't necessarily get along. One was mom's favorite, one was dad's favorite. Anyway, because Jacob kind of tricked the birthright from his brother, he ended up having to run away, spent 20 years in a place called Padan Aram, and there he got a family and flocks and riches. And after 20 years, he came back with 11 of his sons. The 12th one, Joseph's younger brother Benjamin, was born along the way, and he came back into the land of Canaan. And now he's there, and we read that in our picture here, our subject for our lesson today, Joseph, is 17 years old. Now Joseph was Jacob's favorite son. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but anytime there's a favorite, it kind of causes trouble. I know I was kind of a favorite when I was growing up, and my brothers didn't like that very much. And I didn't even do anything about it. Joseph evidently was the kind of young man that his dad could trust, because he gave him this coat of many colors, this coat that showed he had a position of authority. And so his brothers knew what that meant. In fact, it sounds like he was kind of like the supervisor over them, because it says he came back and gave a bad report about some of their work. And that didn't make them love his brother. In fact, the Bible says they hated him. But more than that happened. See, God had a plan for Joseph. And, well, the end's kind of pretty good, but there's a lot of middle-ish that isn't that good. It starts out with Joseph sleeping and dreaming. He had a dream about these sheaves of grain, this wheat, and his sheaf was in the middle, and the 11 sheaves, his brothers were bowing down to him. And he told that dream to his brothers, and well, his brothers hated him even more for that. So, we're going to bow down to you? And then he had another dream. It was about the sun and the moon and 11 stars bowing down to him, and he told that. And well, even his dad Jacob says, I and your mother are going to bow down to you? Anyway, there's Joseph is, we're going along with life, and his brothers are hating him, and he still seems like he's in the position where he's supposed to be monitoring what his brothers do. So his dad sends him to check on his brothers, watching their flocks in Shechem, right? And so Joseph goes down there, and he's kind of wandering around because he can't find his brothers or their flocks. And some guy sees him wandering around, and he says, "Hey, do you happen to know where my brothers and their flocks went?" And the guy actually did know. He says, "Yeah, I heard him say, let's go to Dothan." So Joseph, he takes off, and he heads a little farther, and he comes to Dothan. But his brothers see him a long way off. And they said, "Here comes that dreamer. Let's kill him." But one of the brothers, Reuben, says, "Well, wait. Let's not kill him. Let's just grab him and throw him into this pit out here, and we'll say some evil beast has devoured him." So they grab Joseph, and they take his special coat, his coat of many colors, off him. They throw him in that pit, and they sit down to eat lunch. We learn later that Joseph is crying out in that pit, "Please save me, help me," or something. We don't know exactly what he was saying, but his brothers heard him crying out for mercy, and they didn't have any mercy. Along about that time, a caravan of Ishmaelite traders come along, and they have this idea, and they said, "Hey, we don't gain anything by killing his brother. Let's sell him." And so they start bargaining with these traders, and to get a good price for our friend Joseph. And we're going to find out that while Joseph was in that pit and on his trip to where he's being taken and all the things that happened, that someone was with Joseph. That's our first lesson today. Thank you very much.